I'm on the wrong screen. Hold on a second. Hi. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. My name is Rzasa, and I am one of the co-founders of Altenew. And I'm so excited to be joining you here today for another creative challenge with Jen. If you're new to my challenge or my lives, every single week I have a brand new challenge prompt, and you can enjoy watching, maybe gain some tips and tricks or inspiration along the way, maybe even inspire me because I'm always asking for advice with everyone who's out there, because I love getting to engage with you. I feel like that's what makes the live experience in many ways different from just watching like a tutorial video on YouTube or something, is that you do get to interact. So I love that. And you can also participate by playing along with the challenge and using our hashtag. And it's just a really fun way to get yourself thinking in a different way creatively, maybe push yourself to do something that you've never done before, get outside of your typical creative zone or your comfort zone and think outside the box. So I love doing these challenges just because it keeps me on my toes creatively. I always learn something new from you, and it guarantees I give myself some time in my craft space. I know that many of you have families or maybe jobs, or maybe you volunteer, or anything else that may pop up in life that just sometimes takes time away that you could be using on your hobbies. And it's always important to keep some time for yourself, for your mental health, for your sanity, and just to spread the joy of your hobby. Do it with someone else, have a family member join you in your creative space, and just get creating, even if you don't have a lot of time, just 5 minutes, 10 minutes. That's always something that you can hopefully find joy in. So I'm looking to see how many of you are here. I also see that we have a party going. There's always a party in the comments. And hello to everybody who's joining us. I see Laura, Victoria have popped in and said hello. Sandy is here. Sue is here. Jennifer is here, and many more. And Mitzi is behind the badge. So as I'm going through and talking about different products, Mitzi is going to be popping those links into the comments so that if you are looking at something and you're a fan and you think you might want to buy it or put it on your wish list or send it to a friend or something, you'll have that link right there, and it'll bring you to the product page where you can find plenty of samples and inspiration using that set so you could decide if it's something that you might want to get yourself. Sue said she enjoyed the tags. Yeah, of course you did, Sue. You're my tag lady, the tag queen. She's always making tags. And that brings us to last week's challenge, which was Tag Your It. So last week I did create a tag. I ended up just keeping it without a greeting. Here's the finished tag. I'm actually not sure which orientation I would like to have it. I don't use tags a lot, so I didn't want to put any words on this and then limit myself. Like if I wrote happy birthday and then I find out, oh, I actually want to tag for something that's not a birthday. Maybe I'm giving someone a congratulatory on your retirement gift or something, and the only tag I own has some other greeting on it. This is literally, I think, the only tag in my craft room that I've created. I have boxes of cards. I've got some other paper crafted goodness, but I don't have tags. So this tag is going to be saved for when I need it, and I can put a custom greeting on it. I'm not sure which way I prefer it. But we did some watercoloring last week. If you caught the live, or maybe you saw it on the replay, I did use our new watercolor compacts. And it was really fun to experiment with different techniques of applying watercolor. In one flower and leaf set, I did the die cutting first and did the watercoloring after. And then for the other set of leaves and flower, I reversed it. So I did my watercoloring first, let that dry, and then I die cut from it. I don't know if you can tell which is which. If you were here, you probably know, but this one up top, this is the one that I did my watercoloring first and then I die cut. And then the one down here, this was die cut first and then watercolored. So I popped them both on my tag, and then I can just tie a string and adhere it to whatever it needs to get stuck to once I'm ready to use it. So that is my tag. And then that brings me to the winner. So give me Okay, I'm back. Were you able to hear me that whole time? Were you able to see the tag? Let me know. Like I said, it looks like the interface updated since last week. Kim saying, uh-oh. Was I gone? Am I back? Okay. Mitzi's messaging me saying I was lost. Let me know in the comments if I have returned. I haven't gone anywhere, I promise. On the chance that I am here and you can see and hear me, hopefully you do. Let me just kind of restate what I was saying. So the challenge winner is Kathy Fuller. Oh, didn't hear you at all. Did see the tag. Okay, so we saw the project. I was singing her praises. Okay, so Kathy Fuller created that lovely card. I'm sorry I can't talk about it while showing it to you. Hopefully you got a good look at it. But she was saying in her caption that this was the first time she tried watercolors, and I was so impressed. And I felt like she did a really good job blending the colors onto the flowers, and the whole tag was well balanced. It had a really nice look to it. And I'm always happy to hear people trying new things. That's what the challenge is about. So I chose her. So make sure that if you are Kathy and you are seeing and hearing this, please contact us at support@altenew.com and let us know that you were the challenge winner this week, and we will get your $15 gift certificate out to you. So yeah, I'm getting all the messages now. You're back. All's good. I'm back now with sound. Okay, so it was just a screen share glitch, and I will look into that as well. I noticed when I hopped into the program that we use to stream out our lives, it looked a little different, but there's this like slightly different. I'm like, oh, okay, it's functioning as normal. But the second I hit the screen share button, it looked very different. So I will try to figure out how to properly do that for next week so that I don't disappear when sharing the card. But again, congrats to Kathy, and thank you to everybody who played along. Now that brings us to today's challenge. Yay! Today we are doing fussy and fabulous. So the theme for this one is fussy cutting. If you are new to fussy cutting, it's a pretty simple technique, which includes using scissors to cut around a shape, a stamped image, a stenciled image, whatever. And typically you use fine detail scissors, but you don't have to. For a long time, when I first started crafting, didn't have a lot of paper crafting specific supplies. So I would get scissors this big and I would do fussy cutting. And what I would do is I would like open up the scissors as wide as possible, and I'd put little pieces of paper, little stamped images, and I would just slowly but surely work my way around. I don't know why I did that, because detail scissors do not cost that much. They are, I would say, a really important product to have in your crafting space, wherever that may be. If you don't, though, have any detailed scissors, you can get by with any pair of scissors. It will work. So let me pop you down and I will show you some of the things that I've grabbed to craft with today. Now I hope that the screen flip works as normal. Okay. Kim's saying on her phone, she has a pin at the bottom that she doesn't normally have. Oh, I'm curious about that too. That's really interesting. So it's looking different on your end as well. Okay. So let me show you our scissors. So these are the Altenew detail scissors. These are fine blade. And you allow that to focus. Hello, focus. Maybe I just need to bring that light up. Okay, there we go. So these are the scissors that I'm going to be using today. They just have a fine detailed blade. They're nice and sharp. And these are what I use for all of my fussy cutting. But again, use the scissors that you have. Some people have those really cool scissors that have the springs in it, so you kind of cut down on hand fatigue. Whatever you have is awesome. So I'm also going to pull out this set. So this is Bold and Beautiful. Let me pull everything out. So this was part of a Craft Your Life project kit, the Bold and Beautiful kit. And this one's really fun because we have a really huge background. Yeah, Sue's saying fussy cutting is old school. So those of you who have been crafting a while, this, I would say, predates dies. Like before die cutting was a thing, or when the only dies were those like thick wooden ones with the spongy layer on the bottom. Like raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. As a teacher, we have these in the teacher's room still, like in the staff room, and people use them to cut shapes for like putting on the wall or whatever. But the dies would have a big wooden piece on top and then this foamy part in the bottom, and embedded in the foam would be the cutting blades. And then you'd have a big machine with like a huge handle that you would crank down, and it would press it, and the foam condenses and the blades inside would cut the paper. And with that die cutting, it's like impossible to line up with an image. So it's not like you were doing stamping and then die cutting, because you would never really be able to easily see if it's aligned on your die. So that's like super old school. So I feel like even when die cutting became a little more mainstream and people were getting home die cut machines, you still weren't doing anything like stamping and cutting or stenciling and cutting, just because there wasn't an easy way to line it up. So fussy cutting was old school. Even before I got my own die cutting machine, other people had die cutting machines, but I would buy a stamp set and have no way to cut it out except for using my scissors. So for the challenge today, Fussy and Fabulous, all you need to do is have some fussy cut elements. I'm not even going to say it has to be most of your project is fussy cut. I would say at least one or two elements that you can say if you play along with the challenge and say, oh, I fussy cut this and this, or I fussy cut my sentiment, or I fussy cut this flower, just so that I know more easily how you fulfilled the challenge. And then if you play along, please use the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And that is how I'll be able to find it. And we will be featuring somebody else next week. So we always have a new person that's featured. And hello to Kelly and Earlene or Earl. Earlene keeping it real, I think. So hello, Earlene, and hello to Kim. Great to see you all here. And before I forget, if you share our live stream while we're live, so I'll be on for about another 40 minutes or so. If during that time you share while we're live and then you come back and let us know you shared, you are also entered to win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. So playing along is not the only way to win. You just need to watch and share. If you're catching us on the replay, unfortunately, you can't enter that, but you can still enter the Fussy and Fabulous challenge. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to use the stencils, if I'm going to be coloring these with maybe colored pencils. I'm not sure. I just know that I want to take this big image, I'm going to stamp it out, and I want to fussy cut some of these arrangements. It's a cool way to customize images that you have and be able to isolate different portions of them. I had another set I was going to grab for a slightly different way of using fussy cutting, and I think I left it like across the room. If I can find something else, I will also show you another way that you can use fussy cutting, but there are just so many techniques that use fussy cutting and a lot of ways that you can incorporate it into your crafting. I'm seeing Kim is giving us a fussy tip. Let me read that before I get going here. Place your clean stamp back over your dried ink images and trace lightly around the stamped inked image, then lift off stamp and fussy cut around pencil mark. Erase remaining marks. I may need to read that again. Place your clean stamp back over top of your dried inked image. Got it. And trace lightly around the stamped ink image and then lift off and fussy cut. Okay, I think I get what you're saying, Kim. If you want to leave a border around your cut and you don't want to just guesstimate. So like typically, and this is what Altenew does, but I think other companies have a similar spacing that they do for dies, but we leave a 1 millimeter border around images. So the die would cut around the shape of the image, leaving a 1 millimeter gap of white space. And I think Kim is saying if you want to fussy cut an image and have a similar sized gap, you can just place the stamp, make sure it's clean on top of your image, and use that to go around your image, and you should have a fairly even border around. Please confirm, Kim. Nancy says she does the same thing. Okay, so I think that's what the tip is. Tell me if I'm wrong, but sounds like a great tip and something I will use. I don't think it'll work in this case because I'm going to choose not to cut with a border. I'm going to be cutting directly against the edge of these flowers with the intention to color them and then rearrange them. I think I will use the stencils just because I love stenciling and I get to use my lovely blending brushes that I adore so much. So before I came on the live today, I did just cut a piece of cardstock to 7.5 by 7.5. I think I need to trim it a little bit longer. Hold on a second. I'm also going to zoom you guys out because this is a big image. Okay, so this is just smaller than 7.5 by 7.5. The reason why I'm going with that dimension is because that's the size of the stamp wheel. Let's go this way. So you'll see I just did it a little bit smaller. I don't need this big of a piece of paper. I just wanted it to be larger than a card base because this image that I'm stamping is larger than a card base and I want to get everything stamped out in one go. So again, this is the Bold and Beautiful set from the Bold and Beautiful Craft Your Life project kit. Okay. Shannon's saying she doesn't fussy cut much, but she does have old stamps that require it. So yeah, maybe those older stamps don't have coordinating dies. A lot of companies did not make dies, especially at the early days of home die cutting, just because not a lot of people had those die cut machines. All right, I'm just going to make sure that I'm placing this right side up to match with this image because since I'm going to be doing the stenciling, it'll be a lot easier for me to align if I know that everything is facing the same direction. I'm just going to place that right on there and then pick it up using the flip plate. All right. I'm going in with my Obsidian pigment ink. Laura says she sucks at fussy cutting. This is a great chance to practice. I don't think I'm great at fussy cutting either. I've come to just rely on dies. I know some crafters who have told me they won't buy a set if it doesn't have a die. Because again, with designing for Altenew for all of these years, and just putting out a little plug, we are in our 12th anniversary month. So it has been 12 years of Altenew, and Tasneem and I have been designing from the very start. And when we began with Altenew, it was more costly to do dies because they're metal and they, you know, it was just a little bit more of an investment to get started with producing dies. So we just produced stamps in the very beginning for our first couple of releases. So we didn't have coordinating dies. And then when we did start creating coordinating dies, oh my gosh, how beautiful is this? When we did start creating coordinating dies, we didn't do it for every set. We were just thinking like, okay, well, which ones do we think it would be necessary to have a coordinating die? Again, it was very costly, especially at the start, because we weren't ordering such large amounts. The pricing is more expensive on the manufacturing side. So because of that, we didn't have dies for every set, and crafters would come to us and say, I love your stamps, but if there's not a coordinating die, I'm not going to be purchasing it. And this also came from people who maybe had arthritis, maybe people who had more trouble with fussy cutting. And if that's you, right, I don't want you to feel like you have to do something that is outside of your realm of comfort. So I would say fussy cut something really small, or maybe not even small, maybe just, here's an example. Maybe you are getting, you want to have like a sentiment on something, right? You can just get your scissors, cut it out, Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. And you can say, oh, I fussy cut that because I have arthritis and I couldn't do more than that. That is absolutely fine. I don't want anyone to feel like they're not going to be included for any reason like that. So just put that into the comments or put that into the description of whatever it is that you're posting from, just so I know, right? So always tell me how you fulfilled the challenge because it may not always be clear to me. So you could say, hey, I cut that box out by hand. Okay, so now that this is all cleaned up and ready to go back onto the little carrier sheet here, I've got to start thinking of some colors because I'm absolutely going to stencil before I start fussy cutting. What a nightmare that would be if I decided to fussy cut first. It'd be very difficult to line things up after the fact. So I am going to just grab some colors. And a lot of times I will do my stenciling on the sticky mat just because it'll hold the stencils in place. But I have cut this larger than 6x6. So I wouldn't be able to have any stencil extending outside of the cardstock. So it won't be able to be grabbed by the sticky mat. So I don't need this at all. I'm just going to have to hold the stencil in place, or you can take some low-tack tape like our satin masking tape and just temporarily adhere down those stencils. Let me move this over. And Kim's saying, what stamp are you using? Yes, Mitzi just put it in the comments, but it's the Craft Your Life Project Kit Bold and Beautiful. It is one of the older ones, not too old, but it wasn't just released. And Kim says she prefers dies because she does have RA and loves stencils with 3D embossing folders. Oh, I know. The 3D folders with the stencils is just such a great way to get a lot of impact on your projects. Just, it's like super impressive, I think, especially to a non-crafter. Like they'll be scratching their heads at like, how did you do this? If you have an embossed and stenciled image, it's just really fascinating to see how people who aren't in the know react to stuff like that. And it's like, oh, it's actually not that hard at all. Okay, so inside of the stamp packaging is where we have the stencil guide. So this is how you can follow along and see which stencils work or which stencils color which flowers in the arrangement. So if it is a kit like our project kit, that information is almost always, not always, but almost always in the stamp packaging. Okay, so I'm going to start off with stencil number 1. I feel like I trust myself to do my stenciling without adhering it down, but we'll see how it goes the first time around. And it's just so easy to see where it lines up when you're doing such a large image like that. Let me zoom you in. And I will grab some ink. Okay, I'm going to take out Pink Diamond, Pinkalicious, Rubelite, and Razzleberry because I love it so much. This is the Cherry Blossom set. I'm also going to take out Summer Afternoon. Classic. First yellows set that we ever released is the Summer Afternoon. I feel like I have so many go-to colors, and this is not one of them. Forest Trail will do for some greens. And maybe I'll grab one more set of colors. Let's do Wisteria, Hydrangea, Ultraviolet, and Andromeda. This is from the Enchanted Garden set. And if you know me, you know I'm going to grab some mini ink blending brushes, my absolute favorites. Sue says she appreciates coloring stencils. Judy's favorite is Summer Afternoon. Shannon says she loves the embossing folders with included dies. Yes, that has been gaining in popularity. You're absolutely right. I'm really not sure how I want to color these. I think I am going to put some yellow in the center. I'm not going to worry about the yellow being like in the center. like here, here, here. But I want to have yellow towards the center, radiating outwards. So I'll start with buttercream in the center of each of these. And what I love is, actually, I think I'm going to go a little bit darker with the warm sunshine. I'm looking on the camera and it's barely showing up. Just barely. Okay. Sometimes you have to consider that you are on camera with filming lights, and the filming lights sometimes make it harder to see. Is that easier to see that yellow? Yes, it is. So starting in the center and blending outwards, just for like a first layer of color. I am going to go back to these centers and place a darker color actually where the stencil has that. But here I'm just, you know how the insides of a flower petal sometimes go towards like yellow, a yellowy tone? So that's all I'm doing here. Making the centers with the yellow tone. And thank you, Mitzi, for adding all those links to all the inks, the ink links. Ink links, ink links. Okay, and I'm going to go over some of this with the pink diamond. Beverly says she loves the brushes. Same, Beverly. Same, same. Pinkalicious. I am definitely a cherry blossom girly. And you'll see I'm just going to start at the outside edge of each petal. At this point, I'm not sure which ones I'm going to fussy cut. So I'm just going to go ahead and ink up all of them. We'll make those decisions later. This is so cheerful. Pinkalicious, you're lovely. Okay, and these little ones, just the little buds too, I'm just lightly going over them. These flowers aren't very realistic, so I'm not trying to make my inking look realistic, if that makes sense. I'm just trying to put pretty colors, make it look cute. And if you are just joining us, the theme for this week is fussy and fabulous. And all you need to do is incorporate some kind of fussy cutting into your project and let me know what it is that you fussy cut, in case I can't tell. And it doesn't have to be many elements. Like I said earlier, if it's just one little thing that you fussy cut, that's fine. Just say, hey, I fussy cut this one little thing. The point isn't to fussy cut everything. The point is just to try fussy cutting, right? I told you from the very start, we're just trying to think creatively and do something that might be outside of our normal realm. Okay, so as I'm just wiping down my stencil, I do want to give another reminder to share while we're live, because that will give you an opportunity to win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. But you do need to pop back here and let us know that you shared. Also, there's like super exciting stuff going on this month for our anniversary. April is always a fun month because of the Altenew anniversary. At least for us it is. Maybe not for everybody else, but for us, for sure. Okay, if I look over in our next stencil, stencil number 2, right here. And if you are new to Altenew and you're wondering how I can tell which stencil is which, there is an etching here. You can see it says Altenew 2, and then also has the set name, PK Bold and Beautiful, and the month, June 2025. So now you know when this was released. We've been doing this for a while now, where we also put the set on the stencil, because what if the stencil fell off your desk and you find it 3 weeks later and you have no idea what it goes to? Oh, you just look at the etching and you know, oh, this goes to PK Bold and Beautiful, and it is Stenciled 2. Now these are going to be my purple flowers. And I'm going back in with the same old warm sunshine. And just repeating the whole process. Now, yellow and purple are opposite one another on the color wheel. So there is a potential to get a bit of muddiness if I overlap those colors. So what I plan to do is just kind of leave a slight bit of white, like a little bit of untouched white, so that I'm not overlaying the purple over the yellow. With the pink and yellow, it didn't really matter as much, just because pink and yellow mixed makes orange. So that's fine. Don't need to worry about orange showing up. But purple and yellow being complementary colors, they can get a little bit muddy if you overlap them. So I'll just try to keep it as unmuddy as possible. Is that a word, unmuddy? And Polly's saying, love that, the name and the date, best idea ever. Yes. For the subscriptions, it's got the date on it. It always helps. Helps keep everybody organized, you know? This is, sorry, the hydrangea ink. Let's flip that up right there. Now this is a little bit more of a muted, oh, as I say muted, it's like pop. But what I mean by muted is not like, not powerful of a color. It's a powerful color, but it's not like a vibrant, warm purple. It is more on the neutral side to even maybe slightly cooler side. So we do have many, many ink families to choose from, which is great. So you can decide if you have more than one purple set. Oh, what type of purples am I looking for? So here you can see I'm just leaving that little tiniest bit of space between the most yellow area and the most purple area, just so they don't go over each other. It's going to be a little harder with these smaller flowers, but do what you can. Just right over those little edges. Oop, I went right over the middle here, just when I said I was going to go over the edges only. Whoopsies. Okay. Like that, and round right here. So pretty. And you can see now how this is coming together. We're getting a nice arrangement of blooms. And again, these are going to get fussy cut out. So I've got to make some choices about how I'm going to be cutting these, because my plan is to fussy cut some different tiny arrangements and then arrange those somehow on my card. If you're new to my challenge, I pretty much make a card all the time, with the exception of my lovely tag I made for our tag challenge. But you don't have to make a card. It doesn't have to be a card just because I'm doing a card. If you would prefer to create something else, do whatever your heart desires. All right, now we look at the next one, and we have stencil number 3, and that is going to add the leaves and the centers. Remember I told you we were going to be coming back around and adding some darker color in the centers. So I will be doing that now, and I'm going to start with the centers just because I'm a little scared. I'm not going to be paying attention, and I'm just going to ink right over them with green. If I did that, it wouldn't look terrible, but I'm going to go with the caramel toffee, I think, just to add a little bit of richness to those colors. And I think I'm going to use a different ink blender. So it's kind of a little more of a brown color. So I'll do that. Let me just test my color here, make sure, because I could always grab. Yeah, I think that'll look good. It's like a orangey brown, like a rusted orange color. And let me show you first what this is going to do. So you're going to see where the center has been inked, but then I still have that yellow. That's why I went in with the yellow first towards the inside edge, or the inside part of those petals, because I wanted that yellow to be visible, because that Just adds a little bit more brightness to that center. Just working my way around. I don't need this to be super dark. I'm just going to add just that little bit of color. Now, don't worry about these flowers. We're going to get back to them. They're on another layer. So there's one more stencil after this. We won't forget you, little flowers. We won't forget you. This one too, little guy tucked in the back. Sorry, this is migrating. If I don't keep my eyes on my computer screen, sometimes I don't notice when I'm leaving center. Okay, so that's all the flower centers done. It just adds a little bit more dimension. And then I am going to get my greens. So put this back here. See someone in the comments is saying I would fussy cut all of them and either make more than one card or save them. So that is a great plan. However, I'm not going to do each individual flower and each individual leaf. What I'm going to try to do is customize little arrangements. So I'm going to pick a grouping of flowers and leaves and try to see how many of those groupings I can get from this one image. And yeah, you're right. I absolutely should save some for later because I'm not going to use all of these in one card. It's like you do the work first and then you get to reap the benefits for more than one project. Okay, let's get some greeny. And I'm loving the two-tone thing. So let's bring back the warm sunshine and let's put some yellow on these leaves. I did this last week too with the watercoloring I did. I love adding yellow or blue to leaves. Adding that extra bit of coolness or warmth just makes them come to life. So this is going to be really subtle, just like before. Putting that little bit of color in. So it's not all singular toned. And I don't have to do it to all of the leaves either. Just here and there. And I'm going to try to ink some of the leaves darker than others anyway, so that it looks a little bit more depth, right? You have like darker leaves that looks like they're farther away from the viewer. And then you can have some lighter leaves that look like they are closer. And this first batch of leaves, I'm going to try to make a little bit lighter. Then the second batch, I will do darker on the next stencil. So don't forget, we've got another stencil coming your way. Now, I do hear my husband and my son coming. I think they have coffee. You know, I can't complain. I get time in my craft room. I get a nice coffee break. I get to spend time with all of you guys who are here watching and spending time with me every week. It's so much fun. Let's grab a green blender. I do not have one blending brush per family or per color. I do have my set of blending brushes and I just kind of get the one that looks the closest. So lovely matcha tea. And I think I'll use the swamp green for the ones that I want to appear darker. So I'm coming around the edge, blending towards the center and leaving that little bit of yellow. It's kind of like a little highlight, or I don't know how you want to think of it. Just a little extra color pop. Hi, Logan. Oh my gosh, he is so happy to be here. He loved watching his little appearance last week. I did show it to him. Right now, I'm worried I'm not going to finish in time, so I'm going to keep the camera here, but just know he's smiling at all you guys. Thank you, boys. Yeah, no, he was delighted to be on screen. Like you guys saw, if you didn't see, watch last week's replay video, and you can see my newly 2-year-old son. He just turned 2. You can see him kind of ham it up for the camera. And I did show it to him later. We have limited screen time in our family, but that was worthy screen time to show him himself. And he was smiling and laughing. He loved it. Maybe when he gets a little older, he can be a recurring guest. I don't know if I told you guys this last week. He is not really into art yet. I keep trying. We've got paints, crayons, those marker dauber things. We've got so many different things that he can use to create, and he's just not really into it yet. I'm hoping he gets into it soon, but he does like watching me create. So periodically I'll have him up in the craft room and I'll just kind of take 5 minutes to stamp something out, and he likes watching it. So he is an appreciator of the arts, if not creating his own yet. And Mitzi's saying Logan and Chio, her baby, are the same age. They grow up so fast. I know. It's so fast. And I was looking at these old pictures of him with his chubby cheeks and chunky little thighs. And, you know, as much as I miss that little baby boy, I do love the toddler he's become. And as a first-time mom, it is feeling like it's going quickly, but it also feels like it's going slowly. I don't know if that's possible, but it does. It feels like both. Like if I think back to when I gave birth, that feels like eons ago. It really does. But if I think back to that little infant newborn, that feels like yesterday. So somehow it's both yesterday and a million years ago when I think back to when he was born. Let's bring it home with our last stencil here. And these last little flowers, I'm not sure what color to do. I think I'll make them pink. You know, well, I love pink, so we'll just do extra pink. And then these leaves are going to be darker, so I'll use the swamp green. Let's do the lighter stuff first. So we'll go in with the warm sunshine just to put those little centers in. I'm not going to do it with the leaves like I did for the first layer of leaves, but just popping the color here in the centers of these little clusters. And Kathy is listening on her lunch. We'll watch later. Fabulous, Kathy. Happy to hear that. And I have to say, Kathy, I don't know if you're just tuning in. I don't know if I should tell you, but we had an amazing tag, which was the winner of our challenge, and it was Kathy Fuller's tag. So congrats, Kathy. I don't know if you caught that you were featured, but definitely watch that on the replay. And you can contact us at support@altenew.com and let us know that you are the winner of this week's challenge, and we will get that prize out to you. So we loved it. Even though when I shared it, I disappeared. Thank you guys for not leaving when I disappeared. Okay, bringing in those pinks. Pinkity pink, pinkity pink. Kim's are 45 and 40, and she has 11 and a half twin grandsons. Oh my goodness. That's so nice. It's funny, twins, I understand. Triplets and multiples of more. I can't fathom how people could take care of more than 2 infants at the same time, or more than 2 toddlers at the same time. I have a friend that I work with. So I'm a teacher and she's also a teacher. And she has triplets that are now in 2nd grade. And I just can't imagine. Like anytime I feel like I'm struggling with Logan, like if we're having a difficult day or if he's sick, you guys know he was sick for a while there. Like, how do you do it with 3? So I give so much credit to people with multiples, like the twins, but especially triplets or more. All right, this is swamp green, and I'm just going to use one color. Kim's saying lots of help. Yes, that's what people need, is a village. Lots of help. Okay, let me just see how this looks. I'm going to move it over, see if it's dark enough for what I'm going for. And I think it is. I just didn't want it to look too similar because then you lose that depth. And I feel like stencils are a really easy way to get depth just by varying how you're inking it. But I did want to make sure I had that color tone difference to help add depth as well. I'm just adding or keeping white areas at the edges of these leaves just to help out with that depth as well. All right, I'm looking at the time. We got about 10 minutes left. And this is the fussy cutting challenge, so I should better do some fussy cutting. Don't you love this happens a lot where it's the whole point of the challenge, I don't even get to the last 5 minutes. But it really was important to me to get all of this stenciled out first because it would be near impossible to stencil after I fussy cut. And I think I can fussy cut at least a few little clusters fairly easily. So this is the last of my stenciling, almost done here. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, I missed a little dot. It's supposed to be orange. We're just going to make it green. There we go. All right, so here is my bold and beautiful background, my BBB. And now we get to do our fussy cutting. Okay, let me bring back my scissors and, I want to clean off my stencil quickly. But I am going to be looking and seeing where I have little clusters that work for fussy cutting. Now, when you do your fussy cutting, you don't have to do what I'm doing, where I'm taking a large image that's more detailed and cutting it down into smaller areas. You can just take a singular stamped or singular stenciled image, or you can draw something, right? You can just take a pen and doodle something and you can fussy cut around that. It really is up to you how you incorporate your fussy cutting into the challenge. Cynthia's saying I missed the bud up top, and I don't know which one it goes to. We just won't include that bud. But thank you for the heads up, Cynthia. I completely missed that. All right, I'm liking how this is looking right here, like those flowers. I love this little cluster here. I'm just mentally mapping out. I think this looks pretty right here with that purple flower. So I'm just going to start, and I don't want to cut through areas that I might need later. If I was fussy cutting just one image without a whole bunch of other things around it, I would sometimes just go and cut it into a smaller piece so it's easier to manipulate. But I don't want to do that here because I don't want to cut through something I might want to keep later. This little guy, he's not going to make it. I'm cutting you off. All right, now here comes some fussy cutting tips. I am team paper moves, scissors don't. Okay, or scissors move very minimally. Let me zoom you in. All right, so you'll see as I am cutting, I'm just going to move the paper to be where I need it to be. And I'm opening and closing the scissor as I go around. Paper continues to move and scissors stay relatively still. And this just helps you get around all of those little nooks and crannies. And I am going directly up to that black edge, that stamped edge. If you want to keep a little border, remember in the very start of the live, we talked about that white border that most dies have. If you are doing a coordinating die that goes with a stamped image, there's almost always going to be, I'm just going to cut around that. There's almost always going to be a little white border. In Altenew's stamps, we have a border that measures 1 millimeter. For our sentiments, though, we do often do 1.5 millimeters, just because having that little bit of extra white space around a greeting makes it easier to read. Because if it's too close to the lettering and then you put that die cut sentiment on top of your project where there's maybe other distracting elements, it might be a little bit harder to read. It might look too busy. So we do often do a 1.5 millimeter. Okay, so now I'm going to run into a problem here, right? I've got a petal overlapping this leaf that I want. Just going to go around it. Okay, if I think it needs that black border, because look, it's a leaf. It could be just a wrinkled leaf. And there's no black border right there. I could just take a little marker and add black to it. Another thing that looks nice is if you put some black around the edge so you don't have that white edge showing. Okay, so you can see here the little white edge. I'm going to leave it for now. You can also cut out those little areas in between. I'm also going to leave this for right now, but if you want it like fully fussy cut, you can use an X-Acto blade, or you can take your scissor, especially if you have a fine tip scissor, and just kind of mash it in, make a hole, and then cut around it. So there are ways to do that. You could also, option 3, you could cut around this leaf. Here, I'll show you. Cut around this leaf, cut out your center portion, go around and return back. And now that center is cut out, and I did slice through this, but that gives me that hole cut from the center. And when you mount it with either foam tape or glue or whatever, no one's going to notice that slice. But if you want to take that slice and use it to your advantage, you could take another fussy cut thing. I'll just use this cardstock as an example, and you can tuck it in so it looks like you have something in between these 2 leaf layers. So lots of different ways that you could do your cutting of those inner center pieces, or you could just ignore it and just let it be white. Let's pick another cluster. This is cute. It's like a mama flower with 3 triplets. You know, we're bringing the triplets back. I've got triplets on the mind now. So here's the mama, and she's got her triplets, and here's her village that helps take care of them. So I'm going to come around and fussy cutting these. So I'm just doing the same thing, keeping the paper moving, keeping the scissor fairly steady. If things get in my way, like right now, this keeps jabbing my hand, that I could just cut off and get out of the way, so I'm not getting stabbed with it. And come all the way around. Oops, I'm cutting off the baby. I didn't mean to. I'm trying to read comments at the same time, so I'm split focused right now. When am I not splitting focus? Okay, we'll take this leaf along with us. I'm getting all 3 babies. Our triplets here. I'm coming around the bend. And then, yeah, I'm going to isolate after I sign off, because you guys know I didn't even make anything yet. I have created, but I'm nowhere near making a card or something. So I will be working offline, and I will be isolating and selecting a few more arrangements of flowers. And then I'll get to see where they look good on my card, and anything else I don't use, I'll just save it for a future card. And hey, maybe I'll make a tag with it. You guys know I have literally one tag to my name, the tag I made last week. So maybe I should add another one. Let's put another leaf in this mix here. And if you are just tuning in, we are doing Fussy and Fabulous, which is why I'm fussy cutting. If your hand ever starts to feel fatigued when you're fussy cutting, because if you're doing a lot of elements like I am, it is possible you're going to feel like a little hand cramp. Just take a break. If you're used to fussy cutting, you probably won't get a cramp. But, you know, sometimes you make those little small cuts. And again, that's why I really want you to feel like you shouldn't be limited by your own comfort. So if you only feel like you have the stamina to cut one thing, or a large thing, or make literally like 2 or 3 cuts in some paper and call it fussy cutting, go for it. Just say, hey, I made 3 cuts. That's my fussy cutting. You are still eligible to win. You are not excluded. Right? Okay, so let's take a look at what we've got. So here are 2 sweet little clusters. And here's what I was saying before. If you want to kind of cut in between elements, now, I'm telling a different story here because this flower is kind of tucked behind. Or maybe some of the little baby flowers are hiding. Maybe this is the mama, this is the dada, and these little guys are hiding tucked between both of them, right? This is something I wouldn't be able to do if I just use this large image. A background is awesome to have. I love having background stamps. I don't have enough background stamps, right? Like backgrounds are great, but this is showing you can get more use out of your backgrounds. This one background is going to give me enough flowers and leaves, I would say, for at least 2 projects. Okay, I'm going to have lots of options here. Like I said, when I sign off, I'm just going to keep cutting around some of this stuff. I think this looks like a pretty cluster right here. I think this was the first one I mentioned, one flower with like all of these leaves. Here's another little family. We got some quads, little quadruplets right over here. Yeah, and I could even just cut some singular leaves and then tuck them behind. You can have like a whole cool layered arrangement. There's a lot of ways that you can use your fussy cut elements, but here's what I've got so far. I'll just kind of hold these and I will continue cutting. Give me a second. I'm going to flip back to the front so we can give a little goodbye. Kim saying also you can always cut off a leaf with a single flower. Yes, absolutely true. I could just cut one off of a singlet. I think you probably typed it before I said it. All right, coming back up to the front. Yay. All right, so let's recap. We've got a recap. Today we did Fussy and Fabulous, which includes fussy cutting. So please, if you would like, I know that maybe some people just like being observers and in the audience, and that's absolutely fine. We love having you. But if you feel like you're inspired to join in, please create something that includes some fussy cutting. Let me know what you fussy cut on your project just to make it easier for me as I'm going through all your projects. And then make sure to use the hashtag Altenew Challenge Live, because that's how I'll be able to find it. And then somebody is going to be featured next Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern time when I do my next live. And that person will win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store. And I'm just so happy that you guys were along with me for this journey. I always love crafting and having the comments from you guys and the different ideas and getting to see you sharing tips in the comments as well. So it's just really fun every week to get to spend this time with you. And that will just about do it for me. So thank you to Mitzi for being behind the Altenew badge and answering questions and also popping in all of those comments. So if you saw a product that you want to learn more about, just scroll through, see where Mitzi put the comment, and that will bring you right to the product page. And she did it not only for the project kit, but also blending brushes, scissors, the inks, everything. So anything that you saw that you might be interested in, just check those links. All right. So thanks again, Misty. And that will just about do it for me today. I hope all of you have a wonderful and crafty day. Bye.